OPEC talks front and center over the last few weeks and again for the next 4. Realistically, what's the percentage that we will get a cut from OPEC on November 30th?
Thank you very much for having me. As you will recall, on the 20th of September in Algiers, OPEC took an all-inclusive decision to restore stability to the market, and all our member countries agreed to the Algiers Accord to limit our production levels to a range of 32.5 to 33 million barrels a day for all OPEC 14. And we remain committed to the implementation of this accord.
So what does committed mean? Can you give a production number for that? Because the issue for the market is that everyone wants to back out. Iran, Nigeria, Libya, Iraq now wants to be exempt.
No, the decision in Algiers was an all-inclusive one. All 14 member countries agreed to this accord. And in addition, it was agreed to form this high-level committee of technical experts to work out an acceptable framework for the implementation of this accord. And this high-level committee held its first meeting this weekend in Vienna, and significant progress has been made. And we still have about a month before the conference on November 30th. So we are on course.
So, but the story in the market over the last week was that Iraq sees itself producing more oil than OPEC itself sees Iraq producing, and they don't want to cut or freeze, and they want to actually produce more. Are you saying that that's wrong?
No, I don't think you have got the right information from Baghdad. I was personally in Baghdad just several days ago, where I met with Jabr al-Luwaibi, the Minister of Oil of Iraq, together with his Prime Minister al-Abadi and the President himself. And I have got a firm commitment from the highest quarters in Baghdad that they are committed to the implementation of the Algiers Accord. So I don't know where you are getting your information from.
So they're trying to prove, though, to reporters that they're actually producing 4.7 million barrels a day. They're going on what some are calling a charm offensive. Would you be okay if Iraq froze at that level?
No, from time to time, our member countries do have some differences with the secondary sources. As you know, OPEC has adopted to use 6 different secondary sources of data for its analysis, as well as decision making. And because of communication difficulties, sometimes member countries do have significant variations between their own data as well as the data that is regularly being churned out by these secondary sources, and Iraq is one, and they have taken the right steps in resolving this with the secondary sources. The issue they have is not with OPEC, but it is with the sources that report their data, and they have assured me in Baghdad that they are making progress with the secondary sources in resolving those variations. And don't forget, some parts of Iraq are still inaccessible because of the difficulties they are facing.
So how much do you want Iraq to cut production?
Iraq has committed itself at the highest level of government in Baghdad to me that they will join whatever consensus that the rest of OPEC member countries will agree upon on November 30th in order to restore stability to the market.
So can you give me a framework for that? Because how is that really going to work? Are you going to take a massive cut that you want and then divide them up between members that are going to be participating? How's that going to work?
This is a work in progress. As I told you, we spent the weekend in Vienna with our technical experts looking at the scenarios and the latest data, including the September data. And we deliberately fixed the next meeting in November 25th in order to have all the October data in to update our database and enrich the decision that will eventually be taken by the conference.
But you can see why markets are pretty confused, right? Because on the one hand, it seemed like Algiers, there was going to be a real combined cut from everybody. That's what you yourself said. And then we hear reports that Nigeria and Libya and Iran will be exempt. And then we hear reports that there's a disagreement on how much Iraq is willing to cut. Then Russia doesn't want to cut. They just want to freeze. So do you understand, though, why the market then gets so skeptical of what OPEC is doing?
I think it's all misinformation because in Algiers, it was agreed by the conference that Nigeria and Libya and the Islamic Republic of Iran would be given some special considerations in whatever permutations that will come out of the framework in the implementation of the accord because of their special circumstances. So there is nothing new in this, and they are all signatories of the accord, and they have participated effectively in the discussions we had here over the weekend. So the issue of exemption does not arise.
Okay, and you also spoke with non-OPEC producers like Russia, Brazil, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Oman. How much do you want non-OPEC countries to cut?
At the weekend talks here in Vienna, our non-OPEC friends were very frank, very open. We looked at the numbers for each of the member countries, and we looked at the various scenarios. But don't forget that this committee is not a decision-making committee. It's a committee of high-level experts that will eventually advise the ministers. So I think it's premature for me to state what exactly in terms of volumes we are going to get from non-OPEC.
If they don't cut, does OPEC still cut?
No, they're all committed. You have had most of these countries, including the ones that attended the meetings here over the weekend, have made commitments to join in OPEC in taking the appropriate supply decisions on November 30th.
But this is what I have heard, that Russia is not going to cut. Maybe they'll freeze. Brazil was at the meeting, but just observing. Kazakhstan is actually going to raise output next year. That's the reports that we heard out of the meeting this weekend. Do you say that those reports are wrong and that all three of those countries are willing to cut production?
At the end of the day, we are interested in the net supply cuts. The issue of whether to freeze or cut are mere semantics as far as we are concerned. At the end of the day, by the November 30th conference, we are going to look at the net cuts, the net supply cuts to the markets from each member country. And this is what we are going to inform the market. Okay, and so we remain confident that our non-OPEC friends will also contribute in this regard.
So I understand what you're saying, that it's not individual countries, it's the overall net supply, but it seems hard to see where that's coming from except for Saudi Arabia. And if Saudi Arabia is on the hook for cutting 1 million barrels of oil a day, are they actually going to do that?
No, as I told you, we are all committed to this, and come November 30th, we are optimistic that we are going to get the required supply cuts that will go a long way in rebalancing this market to bring the rebalancing forward from the current projections. This market has remained too low for too long with all the consequences on particularly investments in the upstream, which is currently threatening future supply.
So you keep talking about commitments and you feel pretty confident in the commitments. What literally is that commitment? How do you trust them?
Well, it will be premature for us now to put the numbers on the table because discussions are ongoing, consultations are ongoing between the two meetings of the high-level committee. We are going to have extensive bilateral, trilateral consultations between parties. So I don't think it would be advisable to begin to disclose numbers at the moment. But all I can tell you confidently is that we are satisfied with the level of commitment of our member countries who are all committed to the implementation of the Algiers Accord, which will significantly reduce supply to the markets, impacting on the very high level of stocks, of inventories, that have been weighing down on prices and thereby bringing the market to balance as quickly as we can. Our non-OPEC friends, particularly Russia, have also committed themselves to join. In fact, they have been playing a very important and constructive role in these consultations.
Do you expect an OPEC and non-OPEC cut or freeze to actually boost oil prices or stabilize them here?
The common objective for us now is to address the issue of the overhang of stocks, which have risen to the highest levels in recent times, and thereby weighing down on prices, as well as keeping the market out of balance. Our common objective is to restore this stability on a sustainable basis.
So it's less about how far the price rallies, but more about stabilization? Is that what I can understand from that?
Yes. At the moment, we have no price target, but what we are committed to is that we should restore this balance in this market and to minimize the volatility that we have seen and to maintain this balance on a sustainable basis so as to, again, re-attract the lost investments that we have seen, especially in the E&P. As you know very well, our industry is a capital-intensive industry. We need heavy investments on a continued basis, which we have lost in the past 2-3 years. For 2 years, we have seen severe contraction in investments, and some of the estimates are putting this contraction in the region of about $1 trillion. Now, this is threatening future supplies, which is in the interest of neither producers nor consumers.
My last question, I just want to pivot back to what you mentioned about Russia. You said that Russia has committed to join OPEC Accords. Rosneft, the CEO there, said that Russia could actually produce 4 million barrels a day more over the next 4 years. Russia then said that they would not cut, they would only freeze. Would you be satisfied if Russia froze their output at 11.1 million barrels a day?
I have personally met with Minister Alexander Novak just this Monday in Vienna, and he had assured me that Russia will play its own role in the implementation of the Algiers Accord. And in addition to that, Russia had been also in the forefront of mobilizing other non-OPEC producers to also play their part. So we're quite satisfied with the leadership role that Russia has been showing in this regard.